Okay, head over to your Google Cloud Console and click on New Project. Give a unique name to your project. And no need to select any organization if you don't have one, that's okay. Click on Create. This will take few seconds to create the project. Once done, click on Select Project. You should see the project name appearing on top. Now on the left side panel, look for API and Services. Then click on Enable API and Services. Now if you have any APIs enabled, it will appear here. Otherwise, we can head into the API library. And in here, search for Google Sheets API. There it is. Now click on the API and now click on Enable. Again, this will take few seconds to be enabled. Okay, once the Google Sheets API is enabled, you can check the free quotas and system limits under this tab. It should show you the free read and write request you get per user and per project. Next, we'll head over to the same left panel we opened. Go to IAM and Admin and click on Service Accounts. Here I don't have any service account, so I'll create a new one. I'll give it a suitable name. Next, I'll give it a service account description so that I know what this service account is being used for. Hit create and continue. On the permission, although it's optional, I would like to give it a viewer role so that this service account is never used for modification of my Google Cloud resources. Next, click on Done. Okay, now our service account is created. We'll click on the email to go into the service account. Now remember, this is the email ID which we'll be needing in a few minutes. But now let's create the key for the service account. Head over to the Keys tab. Click on Add Key and create a new key. Make sure you select JSON. Click on Create. So this will download the key to your downloads directory. Here's the key downloaded. Alright, let's head over to the details page again. Alright, now on your Google Drive account, probably linked to the same account that you created a Google Cloud project in. On your drive, click create a new Google Sheet and name the sheet something that matches to your project localization. So for this example, I'll give example localization. Now head over to your drive. You should see the sheets created. Now head back to the service account page, select the email and copy it, and right click on the sheet and share it with the service account email. So we'll paste the email here and give it a role as editor. So this is required so that the service account can make changes to our sheet, which is what the goal is. And click on share. So you can double check that the service account has the correct role or not. There it is. Now it has the editor access. Okay, now head over to Unity. I'll create a new folder to keep all the files related in a single project. Now head over to the Git repo. Now open the package manager from window and click on package manager. Now on the left side, click on the plus tab and add package from git URL. Paste the URL and click on add. So this will download the package as well install the localization package if not installed already. You can see the localization package has been installed and it is being used by our plugin, and you can see where the dependencies are. So these are the files you will find under the packages. Now on the localization, I'll create a couple of folders. I'll call it settings, and one for the integrations. I'll open integrations and create another folder called Google Sheets integrations or Google Sheet service. Alright, now head over to your project settings, click on edit, project settings. On the left side, click on localization. We'll create a new localization settings, and I'll place it in the settings folder I had created earlier. I'll create a new local. It's required to at least have a single local available. I'll select English, and just to show you the example, I'll also add French as a different localization option. Now I'll create a new folder called locals, and this is where I'll save all the locals that I have downloaded. I'll give a project-wide default local as English. Now you should see the locals available here. Alright, so next we need to open the localization tables. Head over to Window, Localization Tables, and click on a new table collection. I'll name this example table. You can name anything you want, and make sure this is a string table collection. Click on create. Again, I will create a new folder and call it localization tables. Now I'll add a few entries. I'll call the first one example dot key, let's say hello, and I'll give the English translations as hello. I'll create another one called example dot key underscore, let's say bye, and bye in the English. Alright, so that should be enough. Now let me dock this table so that I can have a view of it. Now under the localization table, you should see the table along with the locales. Now click on the main table and you should see the inspector here, and we can add the extension as Google Sheet Service Provider. This is the extension we are basically replacing. Now we'll create the new service account Google Sheet Service asset, and not the Google Sheet Service. That is the default one that Unity provides. So this is the plugin that allows us to use our service account authentication. Make sure the authentication is selected as OAuth, and the application name is exactly the same as the Google Sheet name that you have given. So I'll copy the Google Sheet name, head back to Unity, and paste it here. Make sure you select the authentication as OAuth. That's how Google extension allows this plugin to modify the sheet using the extension. Now for the spreadsheet ID, head over to your spreadsheet and copy the ID exactly like I am showing you here. Now paste it. Now we need the JSON key file. Remember, this file needs to be kept securely. For this example, I'm adding it to a folder, and I'll explicitly name it Git Ignored, so that I know to add this folder to my Git Ignore file, so that I never push the JSON key to the repository. But you can keep it anywhere securely and share it through other mediums to your developer if you're working within a team. Now I'll select the service account Google Sheet Service asset again. Click on load JSON key, and I'll select the JSON key that I have just added. You can also set the new sheet properties, but for this one we just want to test the authentication, and click on test authentication, and there it is. Now we have successfully linked our service account with our spreadsheet title. That's great. Now let's head over to our localization table. Click on the table again. So this requires a sheet provider. We will add our service asset. Next, the spreadsheet ID is going to be the exact same ID we have added to a service account. Service asset. So we'll select that, copy it, head back to our localization table and paste it right there. You can also create a new spreadsheet, but since we have already done that, it's fine. Now we'll select the sheet for this table. For this example table, I will create a new sheet in my Google spreadsheet and I will call it example table.1. Now I'll click on add sheet. So this will automatically push a new add sheet request through our service account. So this will add a new sheet with example table.1. Now we'll add the columns that we need to sync with our Google Sheet. So first is always a key column. Don't change the name of the column. It's by default selected or synced by the Google Sheet extension. Now we'll create two local columns since we have only two, which is English and French. Now I'll select the individual locals, first for English and second for French. I prefer to also check the include comment so that if there is any data that Unity has added to our table, that is also synced. Now we'll click on push to finally push the changes. But before that, let me show you the table or the sheet that we have added, which is empty. And now when I click on push, you should see a process happening and you should see a log saying that push to Google Sheets. And now when you go back to your Google Sheet, you should see the same key that you have added is now appearing on the Google Sheet, which is exactly what we wanted. Now for this example, let me add another key and I'll name it something like hello from my YouTube channel. Better hello from game 5D. Again, I will add the English entry by default. Now again click on push so that the change or the new key has been added to the Google spreadsheet. There it is. Now let's translate them using the Google Translate, which is exactly why we want the Google Sheets integration with Unity Localization. And I will translate it from English to French. If you don't know what the nomenclatures are, just look at the key table on top. The name itself shows in the bracket the local identifier you need to use. Okay, there it is. Now all you have to do is, for appearing in the French column, is click on pull. There it is. Now you have a Google Sheet integration working with your service account.